Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne?
Hey there, it's Lauren with Rustic Honey. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. Today, I thought it would be fitting for us to do a little bit of a rest and reflection style video to maybe give you some ideas on how to tie a pretty bow on 2024 as we round the corner and get excited about all the New Year's goals. There's a few things that we need to do in order to wrap up the year. When we get to this point in the year, everyone switches straight into New Year's resolutions and new goals, and it's this big energy. But I think it's so important to take a step back, especially this week after Christmas, and reflect on our year. And today I'm going to give you 7 ways that you can kind of close down 2024 before you set any new goals. And I promise you that taking the time to review and reflect and rest, most importantly, will help you be more energized going into the new year, and it will help your new goals make so much more sense and be that much more effective. Now, straight away, number 1, you're not going to like, but it's probably the most important one, and that is to rest. And I'm saying you're not going to like this as I'm talking to myself, because I love rest, but I have a very hard time resting. I'm a busy mom of 4. I'm a business owner. I'm here on YouTube. I'm trying to do all the things. We have a farm. The list goes on. And I often find it hard to slow down and rest. It's easy for me to get caught up in the hustle and the bustle of everyday life. And so rest is for sure number 1 and so important, especially during the holidays here. I love nothing more than to leave up my Christmas decorations through a bit of January, at least the first half of January. I love to leave the Christmas tree on and just soak in those warm lights in the evening, and just try to take things a little bit more slowly as I reflect on all of the blessings and maybe even all of the challenges that we've experienced this past year. So I encourage you to find what is restful for you. Maybe it's a hot bath at night. Maybe it's a long walk. Maybe it's just watching all the Christmas movies with your family and enjoying the Christmas lights. But whatever it is, pinpoint that and be sure to take some time to rest. Now, usually during this restful time period between Christmas and New Year's, I also take some time to journal and really reflect on the past 12 months. I will often just get cozy on the couch with my journal and just start writing the reflections of the year. But I also love to have nice journal prompts and maybe even a course to walk through. And so I was really excited to find a couple classes on Skillshare recently that really helped me take a deep dive into my reflection for the last 12 months. And so I am thrilled that Skillshare is sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives. There are thousands of creative classes in countless categories ranging from beginner to advanced. I already have quite the library of saved classes that I cannot wait to take, and they range from embroidery and watercolor to graphic design and video and content creation. So there is really something for everyone. And what makes Skillshare unique is that it's designed by creatives for creatives. Skillshare classes are taught by industry experts who are excited to share their tools, techniques, and professional journeys with members. You can search for class topics depending on what it is you want to learn, or browse a multitude of categories. I'm excited to explore so many different categories here, but of course right now I'm kind of focusing on the personal development and goal setting. The first class I dove into was by Lisa Jacobs, and it was called New Year for a New You. I love that it came with these worksheets, and that's what I'm working on this morning at my desk to take a deeper dive into the past 12 months and truly reflect to set myself up for the best year ahead. I know that in the new year, I'm excited to continue to learn so much more in these classes on Skillshare. I hope you'll join me and use my link below. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. I hope you get started soon, and thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Now, during this reflection, one thing is coming to mind for sure about 2024, and that has been this consistency on YouTube. So if you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for joining me this year. I really appreciate it. And I thought for the remainder of this video, I would share some highlights from older videos, and we kind of just walk down memory lane together. I can link to these videos in the description box below for you if you're new here or if you haven't caught all of the videos. And of course, these yummy recipes will also be in the description box of those videos. So all the links will be there for you as we chat and continue to talk about these 7 things that we can do to set ourselves up for the new year. And you can go back with me here and reflect on what a year it has been. We started out this winter early, very snowy and very cold. So that's where I'm bringing you into this video today. And then we're going to go through time. You'll see me very large and pregnant here soon. And as you can hear, there's a sweet baby in the background with me today. So what a year 2024 has been. A couple journal prompts for you might be, what will I remember 2024 for? What will I remember it by? 2024 would be the year of fill in the blank. So those are always great ways to just start out your journaling and your reflection process. But you might ask yourself other questions like, what were my biggest successes this year? Or what were my biggest failures or challenges? And one of my favorites from Lisa's class that I mentioned is, what was time very well spent? And that brings me to my third point of things you should do before the end of the year, and that is to review your photos. Review your camera roll, your videos, because it is very telling of what you treasured this year. Maybe some memories you made, and most definitely time well spent. One of the things we did this year was take several little mini vacations, and one of them you got to see here on YouTube was our trip to Pawhuska, Oklahoma. And so just making these little memories with our family is so important to us, and it's something that I definitely treasure year to year. It's really easy for us to let all of the videos and photos just go to die in the cloud or wherever you store your videos. But I think it's really important to go back and reflect on it. If you can make a photo book, if that's your thing, do that. Maybe you're into scrapbooking, whether it's digital or tangible scrapbooks, or maybe you just want to go through and sort your photos and videos into organized folders and then back them up so that you have them safe and secure for years to come. But either way, I think the end of the year is a great time to sit down and go back through all of that, kind of reminisce over the year at the same time while you're also organizing and setting yourself up again for a clean slate for the new year. I think one thing that always hits for me when I get back to those videos and pictures from, the early part of the year, I realize how much life is lived in 365 days. You kind of forget how quickly time passes, how much you've done. And if you have little kids like I do, you definitely look at the beginning of the year and it just blows your mind how quickly your kids have grown and just how much they have changed. All right, so we've been resting, reflecting, doing our journaling time, and we've gone through all of our photos and videos for the year. So now it's time to move on to our calendar, or what I like to call our time audit. And I'm not sure who first coined the phrase, show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities, but I have always found that phrase to be so true when it comes down to what we end up doing day to day throughout the year. Now, most likely you have some sort of planner or calendar that you've used throughout the year, whether it's digital or paper. Take a second to pull it out and look at where you spent your time. Where was time well spent and where was time wasted? Also want to take a look at your time blocks. If you're like me, own your own business, maybe you're batching work. Look at the days you're spending on certain activities and where there may be room for an improvement in your productivity, or a space where your schedule could just be better aligned to suit your needs for the next season. Here on my channel, I often share homemaking with you too. So from that standpoint, you could look at your morning routine and what that looked like this year. Maybe take a second to journal about that and what it looked like, and then sit and analyze that and how it could improve in the next season, or maybe where you were falling short of where you wanted to be in your morning routine. I know for one, around here, I'm having a very hard time getting back into going to bed on time and getting up early for my morning workout. That is something I really hope to improve in the new year, but right now I am just taking inventory of what it looks like. So overall, I think taking a step back and just reviewing where you spent your time this year is so helpful. One project around our home that I chose to spend some extra time on this year was my sewing and craft room. I hope you remember that video, but it was a fun transformation and I am so enjoying the benefits of that room. I feel like that room has been completely reclaimed. It's almost like I have reclaimed square footage in our home that always existed, but yet didn't before. So, like me, did you have any projects this year that were so worth the extra time? All right, now the next thing to review as we close down 2024 is our spending. Now, don't skip this part of the video. I'm sorry. I know budgeting and all of that is not fun, but we just need to take a minute to see where we spent our money. And this can be fun. It's not a bad thing. We just need to see what was worth our money and what wasn't. And I think being really mindful and reviewing this will help us to spend our money even more wisely in the new year. Now, to practically achieve this, I think what I will do is go back through bank statements and credit card statements and first take a look at those bigger investments. Where did we choose to spend a larger sum of money, and why, and was it worth it? And possibly even more importantly, we also need to take a look at where that little spending occurred. Maybe we're spending too much money eating out or running around. Maybe we have unnecessary subscriptions on our phone or on our TV. So look at those things and what you could change or what you would change going into the new year. And again, I want this section to not feel like a punishment, or I don't want you to beat yourself up about any spending that's happened in the past. That's not what this exercise is about. It is about just looking at the data. Where did I spend money and why? And what can I learn from this process to possibly better invest and better my spending habits to put my dollars to work for myself and for my goals in the new year? Now, reviewing your spending is definitely something I would recommend doing more than once a year. Of course, monthly or even weekly would be ideal, but I think taking a quick overview look of the entire year as a whole will tell you a lot about your spending and how you could improve in the new year. Now, the next thing we need to do is take a look at what our goals were in the last year. I hope you haven't lost that note card that you wrote your goals on. No judgment. I have had those years myself. And if you ask me, there's nothing worse than getting to the end of the year and realizing you lost your goal card only to find it and then realize you didn't make any progress on any of those goals that you had set for yourself. And since those years of early entrepreneurship and early days of motherhood, I have learned to set those goals, keep them at the ready, and make sure that I'm reviewing them frequently throughout the year, so that when I get to the end of the year, I'm not searching for the goal card and then wondering if I made any progress. I know weekly what it looks like, what I'm working on, and how much closer to each goal I'm getting. So we can definitely talk more about goal setting and achieving those goals in another video. But today, I just want you to make sure that you're going back and looking at what goals you had set for yourself in the previous 12 months and what kind of progress you made towards those goals, if any. Maybe jot down in your journal the progress that you've made, and if you have accomplished some of your goals, be sure to celebrate. I, for one, am horrible about celebrating the wins because I'm usually on to the next goal. That's just how my mindset is. So I have to remind myself to take a second and celebrate the wins and celebrate all the things we accomplished this year. So I will be journaling about those things and definitely toasting them on New Year's Eve. All right, and that finally brings me to number 7. And I just want to say that not all of these are in any certain consecutive order. You can do them pretty much in any order. The only thing I thought you should do first was rest, but really all of the other exercises can be done in tandem. So just work them in during your reflection process. Now, number 7 is going to be setting our intentions. So now that we have fully looked back, we've rested and reflected, now it's time to set some intentions for the new year. Not necessarily setting any goals yet, but just gaining some clarity and sparking a new vision for where we want to go next. Love this quote by one of my favorite authors, Hal Elrod. He says, "Always remember that where you are is a result of who you were, but where you go depends entirely on who you choose to be from this moment on." Now, sometimes thinking futuristically and having that big future vision can be the hardest part about all of this reflection and review and goal setting, but it is probably because it's the most important. I feel like in order to live intentionally and set the best goals for ourselves, we have to know what the destination is. So whether you're looking 10 years out or you want to dial that down into just the next year, know where your compass is pointing, know where your true north is, where you're headed. personally like to find some quiet time to kind of daydream about this, and then journaling for me is the best way for me to bring about a list or a vision for what I want in the future. A couple things I like to journal. I like to do this one list called More or Less, or More and Less. Basically, I journal about things I would like to have more of in the new year, and then a list of things I would like to have less of in the new year. So maybe I would like to have more time with my family, or more quiet time in the morning, and less hurried mornings and less busy work. You kind of get the point. You're going back to those achievements, those successes, and you're listing out what you want more of. And then obviously you're going to those obstacles and those challenges that we talked about earlier, and really solidifying the idea of lessening those in the new year. Journaling prompt I like to use is, if nothing were to change, what would my life look like in the next 5 years? And I think that often leads us down a path of realizing that we need to change a few things in order to redirect where we really want to go. So whatever that is for you, what maybe it's that your health needs a better track to be on for the next 5 years, or maybe your spending needs to be on track again to hit those goals in the future. So that's often a good writing prompt that will get you to your future vision. And another fun one I like is the what if list, the big dreams list, to just write out those things that, like, what if this was the year, or what if in 5 years this happened, and write it as if no one ever is going to look at it. It's your list and your big dreams, and they're on your heart for a reason. So don't hold back and put those on paper. And the last thing you could do is journal out your perfect day, what it looks like in maybe 3 to 5 years, what you do when you wake up in the morning, and be as specific as possible, as if you were writing a movie script. And then once you're done, or even before you start, close your eyes and actually picture what that would look like in your life as a movie. And I think that having that vision will really solidify where you want to go and who you want to be in the future. And that is so important when we're talking about closing down the year, setting an intention for what we want in the future, and doing all of that before we set a single goal for the new year. Now, I may have lost some of you on that one. I know it's kind of dorky, but I'm telling you that having those visions of the future is so important in being intentional in how we show up every day. Now, you could consider this one a bonus tip, but if you ask me, it's a must-have. During your resting, be sure to spend some time in prayer and ask the Lord to guide you on your future vision and your goal setting. Keep first things first, and be sure to be open to whatever plans He has for you. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful New Year's. Be safe out there, and I'll see you in 2025.